Well, they all sell ice on the other They all combine together. Yeah.
It's so fun.
That's so cool. Okay, it looks like we maybe have a... Okay, we are ready to roll. That was so fast. Okay, thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for everyone who's joined us today, from my colleagues to the people involved in this as a passion, as an industry, and everything else. I am attempting to start a Slow Fashion Caucus, and today is our launch, and I'm here with some of the other colleagues who are joining us today. I represent the state of Maine, and you don't really think about Maine as sort of a fashion, slow fashion, fast fashion, anything about fashion. We're pretty much a blue jeans, LL Bean boots state. But last year I became aware of a pile of discarded clothing in the Chilean desert, so big that can be seen from out of space. And the fact is, we are very concerned about the climate crisis, and often people don't understand the role that fashion is playing today in our climate crisis. We've developed these dual habits in our country, keeping up with every single fashion trend and purchasing cheap, poorly made clothing, and they have become drivers of yet one more issue in our climate change crisis. In fact, the fashion industry is responsible for more carbon emissions than all international flights and maritime shipping combined. So a little while after I learned about that big pile of clothing in Chile, Rosa DeLauro and I asked the Government Accountability Office to outline the ways that the fashion industry and federal agencies, including the Environmental Protection Agency, can better manage discarded clothing and textile waste. We're waiting on the findings of that report, but it's clear that we have to act now to expand our initiatives across federal agencies to encourage textile sustainability. I'm very pleased we're here today to launch the Slow Fashion Caucus, to build some public awareness of the fact that fast fashion's dangerous environmental impact is challenging us, and to develop some policies to reduce, rewear, repair, and recycle textiles. As lawmakers, we can create incentives for the apparel industry and consumers to reduce natural resource consumption and engage in reusing, repairing, rewearing, and recycling textiles. This could include policies that make it easier for consumers to rewear clothing, such as buying secondhand or renting rather than purchasing an outfit you only need to use once or twice. We also have to support textile reuse and recycling infrastructure to better collect and manage discarded textiles. This could include policies that are now being acted in European countries, like extended producer responsibility, to ensure that brands are responsible for the entire life cycle of their products. So much of the fashion that is purchased by Americans come from countries with fewer protections for workers and for the environment. That's why we must bring sustainable fiber and textile production and processing back to the United States. We can invest in well-paying American jobs to produce clothes with smaller environmental footprints. For example, things like fiber crops, cotton, flax, hemp, wool, and alpaca can be grown and raised in ways that sequester carbon in the soil and improve ecological resistance. Reshoring textile production and processing is a win-win and win for our economy, our workers, and the environment. Everybody's going to be asking us, what should I do? And we're going to hear from some people who are absolutely working on this today. I'm one of those people who loves vegetable mending, any old kind of mending. In fact, I got a little patch here on my shirt today. I also like to thrift. This is a secondhand sweater, and it looks great, right, everybody? In fact, my bag is made of recycled leather. And so many of my colleagues, some of whom you'll hear from today, when asked about fast fashion or recycling, they'll say, oh, let me tell you the best place in Washington, D.C. to get some of your work clothes. Or here's where I send my clothes online when I have too many in the closet. The biggest step anyone can take is making sure we're all reducing our clothing consumption, spreading information about this massive environmental crisis that's posed by fast fashion, and making sure that we let the manufacturers know that we won't stand for an industry that has gone to be a climate hazard, a worker hazard, an environmental hazard. So many challenges today. So I'm thrilled to launch this with my colleagues. I'm excited to welcome a couple of other ones here today. And first, I'd like to ask from Representative Gluesenkamp-Perez, who's a rock star of this caucus and a rock star in the House of Representatives. I'm really pleased she could be with us today. Thank you for giving us a few remarks, Murray.
Thank you, Chellie. I'm Marie Glusenkamp-Perez, and I represent Southwest Washington in Congress. Powerful institutions want you to feel silly for caring about slow fashion. But the truth is, the churn of cheap, disposable goods is a very useful tool for extracting wealth from the middle class. When I have to replace my work boots every year, instead of the 5 years that used to work, American tradespeople lose. When heritage brands are bought and gutted, downstream it means it's suddenly a lot harder to find a belt that's not just bonded leather. We need to start thinking about the life cycle cost of wearing something, the cost to wear it. When vegan leather and fabrics that shed microplastics are marketed as the earth-friendly choice, something to feel good about, local agriculture suffers. And we end up with microplastics in breast milk. When regulators are sold on the necessity of flame retardants in children's pajamas instead of natural alternatives like wool, or the utility of stain-proofing workers' uniforms, people are exposed to toxic chemicals that have lifetime impacts. When we see youth cancer rates spike, we all have to ask, are the trade-offs of convenience really worth it? So, what do we all do? At one level, the answer is simple. You buy less stuff. Ignore trends. Follow your own sense of style. Learn to dye and alter and maintain your clothes. Go to garage sales and hold them yourself. Demand higher quality goods and hold bad players responsible for manipulating markets. Learn how to see and respect quality craftsmanship, and if you can, buy American. Stop buying and producing fuzzy microplastics, if not for your own self, for the salmon that my community relies on. In the language of economists, support a strong secondary market for quality goods. In the language of normal people, spend your money on higher quality used stuff. Ask yourself, who is paid to produce this? A farmer or an oil baron? And in conclusion, I look forward to working with the Slow Fashion Caucus to get things done for families who work for a living and can't afford to be a source of wealth for the big players and not our own communities. And now one of my favorite, most stylish people here, Sydney Kamlager-Dove. Yeah.
Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Sydney Kamlager-Dove, and I'm the Congresswoman for the 37th Congressional District. I'm an LA girl, and so I love looking stylish, but mostly when it is sustainable. And in fact, my whole outfit today is sustainable. Fast fashion harms our workers and the environment, which is why I am committed to ensuring that the fashion industry in Los Angeles and across the world is sustainable and ethical. Los Angeles has always been a home to dreamers, innovators, and risk takers of the fashion world. We have long known about the devastating environmental impacts of the fashion industry and have been leaders in setting fashion trends that support an ethical, sustainable, and climate-smart future. As such, promoting sustainable fashion is something I focused on even before coming to Congress. While in the state Senate, I established a 3-year pilot program in Los Angeles and Ventura to recycle textiles in the fashion industry. But the push for sustainable fashion has yet to gain federal momentum, which is why it is so exciting that we are launching the Slow Fashion Caucus today. And I feel like the words of Leader Jeffries are also supporting the Slow Fashion Caucus. I'm going to ask him if he's wearing a sustainable suit. As vice-ranking member of the Natural House Resources Committee, I am working to protect our environment by discouraging unsustainable practices like fast fashion. As policymakers, we can examine the fashion industry through a legislative lens by focusing on 2 main issues: fair labor practices and its environmental impact. Garment workers have long been a cornerstone of the American economy, yet have faced unsafe working conditions, wage theft, and piecework pay for far too long. Our garment workers deserve better, which is why I'm a proud co-sponsor of the Fabric Act, legislation establishing standards to ensure that garment workers are treated and compensated fairly. We talk a lot about greenhouse gas emissions, but not enough about how the fashion industry is responsible for more carbon emissions than all international flights and maritime shipping combined. Or that the fashion industry is the world's third largest polluter, with the U.S. contributing 17 million tons of clothing waste per year. The fashion industry is a key contributor to irreversible damage being done to our environment, meaning the industry is also uniquely positioned to be part of the solution. We must continue building public awareness of the fast fashion's environmental impact through education and increased opportunities to support a circular economy for textiles. I know that together we can drive systemic change towards a more sustainable and ethical fashion industry that also delivers amazing fashion that's, well, I said it, that's sustainable. So I am proud to be here today as a founding member of this Slow Fashion Caucus, and I look forward to working with my colleagues to build a greener, cleaner, and more stylish future for all. And now I'm going to bring up Alon with ThredUp.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Alon Rotem, and I'm the Chief Legal Officer at ThredUp. We're an online resale platform whose mission is to inspire the world to think secondhand first. I'm really excited to be here today. First, I'd like to say thank you to Congresswoman Pingree for inviting me to be part of this occasion. Looking at all of you today, it's clear how far we've come as an industry. It wasn't that long ago that conversations around sustainable fashion and policy felt more like wishful thinking. But today, circularity has made its way onto the national policy agenda. And we're here celebrating the launch of a caucus that's specifically focused on climate-smart policies for the fashion sector. I must say I'm impressed. And I also want to express my appreciation for everyone here, the caucus members, the influencers, the industry leaders, and everyone else that's championing this cause. We should give ourselves a small pat on the back because we've taken the small, important step of showing up today. As I tell my daughter Isabella, sometimes showing up is the most important thing we can do. And beyond showing up, we know that there's a tremendous amount of work ahead of us. We know that the fashion industry is a major polluter, and we know that the fast fashion industry is making things even worse. I'm still floored when I hear that the fashion industry is responsible for roughly 10% of all GHG emissions. That's a lot. And we should take a moment to let that sink in. Since ThredUp was founded in 2009, we've been doing our part to reduce the industry's impact. And the numbers speak for themselves. We've processed more than 200 million unique secondhand items. We've prevented nearly 800 billion pounds of carbon emissions, and we've saved more than 8 billion gallons of water. It's a good start, but it's obviously not enough. We need public policy to help us accelerate the transition to a more sustainable future, just like it's done with other industries, such as energy and electric vehicles. Although ThredUp is in its second decade, I remember early on when my friend and our CEO, James Reinhart, would tell us, you overestimate what you can do in 1 year, but you underestimate what you can do in 10. If we're going to make a difference over the next 10 years, then the road ahead is going to require a different mindset from all of us. We're going to need to hold up the mirror to ourselves and to our peers. And then we're going to need to innovate, collaborate, and persevere. This change is going to require a long-term commitment from all of us. And so today is a special day. The launch of the Slow Fashion Caucus gives us a powerful platform to forge ahead. Together we can drive the fashion policy agenda forward and change the incentive structures to benefit our shared planet and resources. We can and we will create a more sustainable future for generations to come. Thank you for including ThredUp, and I'm excited to get to work with all of you. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Daisy Gonzalez. I'm the campaigns director for the Garment Worker Center. GWC is honored and excited to be here today. We organize with hundreds of Los Angeles garment workers to improve wages and working conditions in what's all too often a highly exploitative industry. The launch of the Slow Fashion Caucus is a welcome and bold step towards change. Behind the glitz and glam of fashion is one of the world's dirtiest industries. Fast fashion trends dominate based on cheaply made, mass-produced clothing, driving demand and overconsumption. The result is billions of tons of textile waste saturate our landfills each year. And to make garments so cheaply at these mass volumes, garment workers are paid poverty wages in deplorable sweatshop conditions. This has been a shameful business model for decades. The slow fashion movement demands another way and proclaims that our planet and the people who make our clothes deserve better. We don't accept that people and the planet continue to be collateral damage, but demand that there are essential considerations in what we make and wear. Momentum and innovative collaborations and strategies are growing, and workers are organizing. The creation of this caucus gives much-needed voice and political support to this movement. We applaud Congresswoman Pingree for her leadership and stand ready to work with her and the members of the caucus on policy strategies that can set a new standard for this industry. Thank you. I'd like to pass the microphone to one of our member leaders at the Garment Worker Center, Apolinar Mancia, and I'll be translating for him from Spanish to English.
Hola, mi nombre es Apolinar Mancilla. He trabajado en la industria de la moda como trabajador de la costura durante 30 años. Soy miembro del Centro de Trabajadores de la Costura de Los Ángeles, donde estamos organizando para prevenir el robo de salario. Estoy muy emocionado de estar hoy aquí en el lanzamiento de la Junta Política de la Moda Lenta. Significa mucho para mí que los responsables políticos del país se preocupen por la industria de que el trabajo quieran ayudar a mejorar.
Hello, my name is Apolinar Mancia, and I've worked in the fashion industry as a garment worker for 30 years. I'm a member of the Garment Worker Center in Los Angeles, where we're organizing to prevent wage theft. I'm very excited to be here today at the launch of the Slow Fashion Caucus. It means a lot to me that the nation's policymakers care about the industry I work in and want to help improve it.
Lo que la moda lenta significa para mí es modelo de reproducción que me permite a mí y a mis compañeros ser tratados con respeto en el trabajo, en el que mi labor y mis habilidades se valoren en el proceso de producción actualmente. La producción de moda rápida exige que se fabrique grandes volúmenes de prendas en plazo muy rápido. Los trabajadores deben coser cientos de prendas en un día, a menudo sin pausas de descanso adecuadas. La mayoría de trabajadores ganan tarifas por pieza extremadamente bajas. Por ejemplo, 2 centavos por costura o 20 centavos por un zipper, incluso cosiendo cientos de prendas al día. Nunca se puede ganar el salario mínimo con esas tarifas, lo que significa que los salarios de la mayoría de los trabajadores de la costura apenas alcanzan para cubrir las necesidades básicas y viviendas y alimentación, y muchas veces no alcanzan a cubrir sus medicinas o atención médica.
What slow fashion would mean to me is a production model that allows me and my fellow workers to be treated with respect at work, where my labor and skill are valued in the production process. Currently, the production of fast fashion demands that large volumes of garments are made in very fast turnaround times. Garment workers must sew hundreds of garments in a day, often without proper rest breaks. Most workers are paid extremely low piece rates, for example, 2 cents a seam or 20 cents a zipper. Even sewing hundreds of pieces a day, you can never earn the minimum wage at those rates, which means most garment workers' wages are barely sufficient for even the basic needs of housing, food, many times medication, and medical care.
La Junta Política de la Moda Lenta creará más conciencia sobre las violaciones laborales en la industria, junto con los impactos negativos al medio ambiente. Es posible crear un cambio con iniciativas como esta y leyes fuertes que protejan tanto a la tierra como a las personas que hacen nuestra ropa. Muchas gracias.
The Slow Fashion Caucus will create more awareness of the labor violations in the industry along with the negative environmental impacts. It's possible to create change with more initiatives like this and strong laws that protect both the earth and the people who make our clothes. Thank you. And I think I will pass it over to Rebecca with Patagonia.
Hello, I'm Rebecca Goodstein, Senior Retail Environmental Activism Manager at Patagonia. It's an honor to be here in Washington, D.C. in my thrifted dress and hand-me-down shoes for the launch of the Congressional Slow Fashion Caucus to create climate-smart policies to reduce, repair, rewear, and recycle textiles. I want to begin by thanking Congresswoman Chellie Pingree for leading the fight in Washington to curb fast fashion pollution, and all of you for being here to support this important effort. The apparel industry is one of the most devastating on the environment. Many companies profit by producing more items faster and at lower cost. Consumers might wear these items for short periods, then replace them, and this has led to unprecedented levels of extraction and environmental harm. At Patagonia, we're in business to save the home planet. And as a company that makes and sells stuff, that's a real challenge. So we approach our environmental responsibility in many ways, including material and supply chain innovation, and measuring our environmental impacts to inform our reduction strategy. In addition, we invest in consumer education to move from an extractive economy to a circular economy. That's why we've launched campaigns like Worn Wear to encourage customers to buy less, repair what's broken, and if you must buy, whether it's from Patagonia or anyone else, choose quality products that are designed to last, or purchase used. And finally, recycle whatever's truly worn out. It's important to us that our customers are also partners in the efforts to reduce consumption and keep our products out of the landfill and incinerator. Customers should demand and companies should deliver products that are more durable, multifunctional, and crucially, socially and environmentally responsible. Clothing designers should create products meant to be repaired and then recycled, not just replaced. Government, too, has a role. We need a national revolution around quality, backed by policies and legislation that prioritize the most sustainable raw materials and best manufacturing practices. That's why my colleagues at Patagonia and I are excited about the launch of this caucus and its goals to strengthen public awareness and encourage textile sustainability. We're deeply grateful to Congresswoman Pingree and everyone else here for their commitment to managing discarded clothes and textile waste, and we can't wait to work together to save our home planet. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you to everybody who was here today. We really heard some interesting testimony, and in spite of my colleagues also supporting another worthy cause with a little bit more volume than we had, I think we've had a great launch and a great opportunity to get this started. Rather than taking your questions, since it's kind of hot, I think we'll just let everybody move about and cool off. I do want to thank everyone who was here with us today, the other speakers, my colleagues who are joining the caucus, the students, the teachers, the designers who are here with us today. I want to give a special shout out. We have the Girl Scouts from Holton, Maine. Yay, Girl Scouts. I got my start as a Girl Scout. I'm sure it's why I'm such an excellent crafter, thanks to my early merit badges. But we're just so excited. Students, young people are really leading this movement. We need to learn a lot and take our example from them, and we'll look forward to following their lead. So I'm sure anybody here would be happy to answer your questions or give you more specifics. But I'm just going to say thank you so everybody can move around, cool off a little bit, and enjoy their day. So thanks so much. Thanks, everybody.